वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness and ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying chapter 7, the yoga of knowledge and realization. Verse number 3, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yadatabam siddhanam kaschid mam veti tattvataha. Lord Krishna says, among thousands of persons, one perchance strives for perfection. And of those who strive and succeed, one perchance knows me in reality. So, this verse clearly indicates that spiritual realization is possible only in human life. Only on this earth plane. All other lokas are meant for either suffering or enjoyment. But it's only on this plane, on this planet, that we can reach the supreme goal of realization. The same idea is echoed by both Buddha and Shankara. They say it is very difficult to be born as a human being. After being born as a human being, it is difficult to live the life of a man. To be truly human is to exhibit in us the natural qualities of a human being, namely kindness, absence of every ill feeling or selfishness, charity, goodwill to all, justice and generosity, attributes which belong specifically to the human kingdom and are natural to a man when he has developed the qualities of a human being. After having taken birth as a human being, the difficulty is to get in to hear the true law. The final difficulty is to attain to enlightenment. Lots and lots of hurdles one has to pass through before you arrive at the diamond mine of realization. Durlabham trayamevaitat devanugraha hetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshaya labdva katanchinna rajanma durlabham tatrapi pumstvam shruti paradarshanam yastvatma muktau na yadeta mudadihi sa atmaha svam vinihantya sadgrahat itakko swasti itakko nvasti itakko nvasti mudhatma yastu swarte pramadyati durlabham manusham deham prapya tatrapi paurusham ato vimuktya prayateta vidvan sanyasta bahyata sukhaspurirassan santam mahantam samupetya deshikam tenopadishtartha samahitatma. Verse number 3, 5 and 8. These are the verses from Viveka Chudamani. Acharya Shankara has stated there are three things which are rare indeed, and they are due to the grace of God. Anyway, we have become qualified to receive the grace of God. That shows that we have got the human body. And the longing for liberation, the intense desire to realize the truth, and the protecting care of a perfected sage. The man who, having by some means obtained a human birth and mastery of the Vedas to boot, he is foolish enough not to exert for self-realization or self-liberation. He is considered verily he is committing suicide, for he kills himself by clinging to things unreal. What greater fool is there than the man who, having obtained a rare human body and a masculine body too, neglects to achieve the real end of his life, that is liberation. In Vivek Chudamani, Shankara says that foolish is the man who does not strive after freedom from bondage, after obtaining at last a human birth. He adds that any amount of knowledge of the Vedas, performing rituals, sacrifices, doing good works, and worshipping the gods, they cannot free one from bondage even after a period of 100 Brahma Yugas, without the knowledge of the union with the self. Therefore, let the wise one strive after freedom, giving up all longing for sensual self-indulgence, approaching the good, great teacher with sound intent on the object of the teaching. Sri Ramkrishna, referring to this topic, the importance, he tells in the Gospel. He was addressing to Shyam Basu. He said, give up worldly talk altogether. Don't talk about anything, whatever, but God. If you see a worldly person coming near you, leave the place before he arrives. Sri Ramakrishna's words, warnings. These are the warnings given to the spiritual aspirants. If you don't follow these warnings, you succumb, you become victims of the situation. If you see a worldly person coming near you, leave the place before he arrives. You have spent your whole life in the world. You have seen that it is hollow. Isn't that so? God alone is substance and all else is illusory. God alone is real and all else has only a 2 days existence. What is there in the world? Sri Ramakrishna says all these things in the Gospel, page number 911. The world is like a pickled hog plum. One craves for it. But what is there in a hog plum? Only skin and pit. And if you eat it, you will have colic. Shyam Basu said, yes sir, everything you have said is true. Sri Ramakrishna said, for many years you have devoted yourself to various worldly things. You will not be able to think of God and meditate on Him in this confusion of the world. A little solitude is necessary for you. Otherwise, your mind will not be steady. Therefore, Sri Ramakrishna says, you must fix a place for meditation at least half a mile away from your house. These are the words of Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. So we have to strictly follow these instructions. Then only we have an idea about spiritual life and we enjoy the real peace and joy. Verse number 4, Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kam mano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna praktirashtata. Lord Krishna explains earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect and ego. Totally 8. This is my Prakriti divided eightfold. This Prakriti is called as Apara Prakriti, the inferior Prakriti. There is Para Prakriti, that is the consciousness. So here it deals with two Prakritis, the lower and higher. Everything mentioned in this verse is energy, Shakti. Because the lower Prakriti itself is primal energy, everything that exists is energy, part of the Apara Prakriti. What we have here is a listing of the Apara Prakriti. First we have the 5 primal elements, which we call in Sanskrit Panchabhutas: earth, water, fire, air and ether. Everything else is a combination of these 5 forms of energy. More accurately, 5 forms of behavior. The 3 remaining out of 8 are mirrors of intelligence. They are mind, intellect, ego, ahankar. The manas is the sensory mind, the perceiving faculty that receives the messages of the senses. Buddhi is the intellect, the faculty of understanding and reason, the thinking mind. Ahankar is the feeling of I am. It is not the true self, for the self is pure wisdom and need not think. Rather, it is the ego sense, the intermediary between the self and the bodies in which it is encased. Because it often takes over and blinds us to the self, the ego is usually spoken of in a very negative sense. But without the ego, the self could not possibly operate through the energy complex necessary for our evolution. The manas sees a shape. The buddhi says, there's a tree. The ahankara concludes, I am seeing a tree. All experience, inner and outer, is processed by these 3. In fact, most of us are confined to our experiences that proceed from them. That's about Apara Prakriti, Lord Krishna says in this verse. Next verse is Apareya mitastvanyam prakriti vidhi me param jivabhutam mahabhaho yayedam dharyate jagat. This is my lower nature, that is Apara Prakriti. But different from it, now, know, O Arjun, my higher nature, Paraprakriti, the indwelling consciousness by which this entire universe is sustained. Lord Krishna is indicating here that as the indwelling consciousness, he pervades the whole universe. The whole universe is nothing but God himself, in a way. Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel that he who is Purush is also Prakriti. He who is Brahman is also Shakti. He is called Purusha Brahman when he is not in action. That is to say, when he ceases to create, preserve or destroy. And he is called Shakti or Prakriti when he engages in those activities. But he who is Brahman is none other than Shakti. He who is Purush has verily become Prakriti. Water is water, whether it moves or is still. A snake is a snake, whether it wriggles along or stays still and coiled up. What Brahman is cannot be described. Speech stops there. In the Kirtan, the singers at first sing, my Nitai dances like a Mata Hati. As they become more and more ecstatic, they can hardly utter the whole sentence. They sing only hati hati. As their mood deepens, they sing only ha ha. At last they cannot sing even that. They become completely unconscious. As the master spoke these words, Sri Ramakrishna himself became intoxicated in samadhi. He was standing. Regaining consciousness of the world, he said, that which is beyond both kshara and akshara cannot be described. That which is pure Atman is unattached. Maya or avidya is in it. In Maya there are three gunas. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. These three gunas also exist in the pure Atman. But Atman itself is unattached. If you throw a blue pill into the fire, if you throw a blue pill into the fire, you will see a blue flame. If you throw a red pill, you will see a red flame. But fire itself has no color of its own. If you put a blue pill in water, the water will turn blue. Again, if you put alum in that water, it would regain its natural color. These are the words of Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. Again, Sri Ramakrishna says, a butcher was carrying a load of meat. When he suddenly touched Shankara, Acharya Shankara was walking along, he touched him. Shankara was startled. He exclaimed, "What? You have touched me?" The butcher replied, "Venerable sir, neither have you touched me, nor have I touched you. You are pure Atman, unattached." Actually, that Lord Shiva came in the guise of butcher to give this experience to Shankaracharya. There's a story of Jadabharat also. He said the same thing to King Ravagan. The pure Atman is unattached and one cannot see it. If salt is mixed with water, one cannot see the salt with the eyes. That which is the pure Atman is the great cause, the cause of the cause. The gross, the subtle, the causal and the great cause. The five elements are gross mind, buddhi and ego, are subtle. Prakriti, the primal energy, is the cause of all these. Brahman is the cause of all these. Brahman, pure Atman, is the cause of the cause. This pure Atman alone is our real nature. What is jnana? It is to know one's own self and keep the mind in it. It is to know the pure Atman. God play on earth as an incarnation is a manifestation of the glory of the Chit Shakti, the divine power. That which is Brahman is also Rama, Krishna and Shiva. Ishan, a devotee, was sitting there. He asked, "Sir, it is true. Both Hari and Hara are derived from the same root. The difference lies only in the Pratyaya." Sri Ramakrishna said, "Yes, there is only one without a second. The Vedas speak of it as Om Satchidananda Brahma, the Puranas as Om Satchidananda Krishna, and Tantra as Om Satchidananda Shiva. The Chit Shakti as Mahamaya has deluded all with ignorance." It is said in the Adhyatma Ramayana that when the rishis saw Rama, they prayed to him in these words only, "O Rama, please do not delude us with your world-bewitching Maya." Then Ishan asked, "Sir, what is this Maya?" Sri Ramakrishna said, "Whatever you see, think or hear is Maya. In a word, lust and gold is the covering of Maya. There is no harm in chewing betel leaf, eating fish, smoking, or rubbing the body with oil. What will one achieve by renouncing only these things? The one thing needful is the renunciation of lust and gold. That renunciation is the real and supreme renunciation. Householders, should go to solitude now and then to practice spiritual discipline in order to cultivate devotion to God. They should renounce mentally, but the sannyasi should renounce both mentally and physically. But I know that God is both with and without form, and He may have many more aspects. It is possible for Him to be everything. The Chit Shakti, Mahamaya, has become the 24 cosmic principles. One day as I was meditating, my mind wandered away to Rashik's house. He is a scavenger. I said to my mind, stay there, you rogue. The Divine Mother revealed to me that the men and women in this house were mere masks. Inside them was the same divine power, Kundalini, that rises up through the 6 spiritual centers of the body. He is the primal energy man or woman. Once at Kamarpur I saw the worship of Kali in the house of the Lahas. They put a sacred thread on the image of the Divine Mother. One man asked, why have they put the sacred thread on the mother's person? The master of the house said, brother, I see that you have rightly understood the mother, but I do not yet know whether the Divine Mother is a male or female. In the Kathopanishad, there is a famous passage, Hamsaha Shushishat Vasurantariksasat Hota Vedasadrit Durodasat Rishat Varasadratasat Yomadasabja Goja Rataja Adrija Rutam Brigate. That is, the immortal self is the sun shining in the sky. He is a breeze blowing in space. He is a fire burning on the altar. He is a guest dwelling in the house. He is in all men. He is in the gods. He is in the ether. He is whatever there is truth. He is the fish that is born in water. He is a plant that grows in the soil. He is a river that gushes from the mountain. He is the changeless reality, the illimitable. Na tattva suryo bhati na chandratarakam naima vidyito bhanti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Another passage of Kathopanishad. Him the sun does not illumine, nor the moon, nor the stars, nor the lightning, nor verily fires kindled upon the earth. He is the one light that gives light to all. He is shining, everything shines. It is this twofold yet one primal energy being that must be known if you are to elude the snare of Maya and transcend its influence forever. You must always have in mind the fact that the reality behind the deluding appearance is the infinite self from which we draw our own very existence. It must be a knowing, a perception arising from the experience that is gained from intense sadhana alone. Sri Ramakrishna said, it is through God's grace that you understand that. The doubts of the mind will not disappear without His grace. Doubts do not disappear without self-realization. But one need not fear anything if one has received the grace of God. It is rather easy for a child to stumble if he holds his father's hand, but there can be no such fear if the father holds the child's hand. A man doesn't have to suffer anymore if God, in His grace, removes his doubts and reveals Himself to him. But this grace descends upon him only after he has prayed to God with intense yearning of heart and practiced spiritual discipline. The mother feels compassion for her child when she sees him running about breathlessly. She has been hiding herself, now she appears before the child. Master Mahasaya was sitting there. He thought within himself, but why should God make us run about? Immediately Sri Ramakrishna said, it is His will that we should run about a little. Then it's a great fun. God has created the world in play, as it were. This is called Mahamaya, the great illusion. Therefore, one must take refuge in the Divine Mother, the cosmic power itself. If it is she who has bound us with the shackles of illusion, the realization of God is possible only when those shackles are severed. The Master continued, one must propitiate the Divine Mother, the primal energy, in order to obtain God's grace. God Himself is Mahamaya, who deludes the world with her illusion and conjures up the magic of creation, preservation and destruction. She has spread this veil of ignorance before our eyes. We can go into the inner chamber only when she lets us pass through the door. Living outside, we see only outer objects, but not that eternal being, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Therefore, it is stated in the Purana that deities like Brahma praised Mahamaya for the destruction of the demons, Madhu and Kaitaba. Shakti alone is the root of the universe. That primal energy has two aspects, Vidya and Avidya. Avidya deludes, Avidya conjures up lust and gold, which casts the spell. Vidya begets devotion, kindness, wisdom and love, which lead one to God. This Avidya must be propitiated, and that is the purpose of the rites of Shakti. Master said, sails across the sea of life in the twinkling of an eye. One attains the vision of God if Mahamaya steps aside from the door. Mahamaya's grace is necessary. Hence the worship of Shakti. You see, God is near us, but it is not possible to know Him because Mahamaya stands between. Rama, Lakshmana and Sita were walking along. Rama walked ahead, Sita in the middle and Lakshmana last. Lakshmana was only 2.5 cubits away from Rama, but he could not see Rama because Sita, Mahamaya, was in the way. So, both Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti are the nature of the Supreme Brahman Himself. But in order to conquer the delusion, we have to propitiate the Mother. Then we are able to get over this Aparaprakriti, and then we will be approaching Paraprakriti. Once we reach that state, then we know we are at the height of spiritual realization. So it is possible only through sincere effort and struggles. One has to pray with devotion, dedication, and doing meditation properly, sincerely. It is possible to get into that state. But that state is possible to be realized only in this human life, not in any other life. So if the chance given is last, it is a terrible loss. But if a person is struggling very hard, if he has not realized the truth, at least he will have the opportunity to be born again as a human being on account of the intense sadhana done in this life. And he will proceed from the stage where he had stopped in the previous life. So it gives continuation of spiritual practice. The point is, we have to make efforts, we have to do spiritual sadhana, then only we get into enlightenment. So, Shravan Manan Nididhyasana. We heard about the spiritual instructions, we thought over it again and again, and finally we have to meditate upon wholeheartedly, then you will attain the goal. That is the substance of these verses. We will continue next Tuesday. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardaram Devaki Paramananda Krishna Vande Jagadguru Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Lord Krishna, the embodiment of bliss, who came to establish dharma and punish the wicked. Let us pray to him to lead us from unreal to real, to lead us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.